Hey, welcome to part 2 of this juicy recording. If you didn't listen to part 1, go back to woke.as and check out part 1. In this episode, we will discuss basically the continuation of everything we've said, culminating with how to be totally satisfied with who you are and coming from that place for everything that you do in your life. So it's pretty juicy. So get in there and enjoy.
Are you ready to get woke? Welcome to the Woke as podcast with your host, Alex Lazarev.
So, creating a container and a context. How do we do that? I think it's about getting in contact with what is grounding and what is satisfying for us right now. And things like breathing and stuff is all good. But the subtle thing, and this is such a subtle shift that you got to be careful of, is because as soon as you think, I should be doing this thing so then I can get back to my grounding, instantly you're off somewhere else. You're in a secondary bubble of afterthought where you're telling yourself that you should be because you're not. If that makes sense. It becomes this like fucking trippy fucking feedback loop. And it's at the speed of thought. It's like we do it to ourselves that fucking fast. Instead, it's like, can this is where I think the real power starts to come in. Can you catch yourself at those fucking moments where you're starting to create those splits, those delusions, those distractions, those afterthoughts, and instead allow them to be there without attachment and simultaneously collapse underneath them again. So it's like, part of me thinks it should be doing these breathing practices because then it would be good for me because then I'll be back to where I should be so then I can awaken to be the person that I'm supposed to be. Cool. Let's leave that fucking thing to do whatever it's doing, because by engaging with it, it's like a shit, it's like as soon as you touch it, it fucking gets you and it's just covered in it and it's like you're trying to negotiate this fucking thing. Don't fucking worry about it. Just let it be there and instead sink back into the direct experience of being with the being that thinks it needs to be something other than what it is. And then by doing that, it starts to pop that fucking false being. It's like, it's just because one way that I think it's really powerful is like the mind of, it's a fucking parasite, man. Or it's not even, it's parasite is a good kind of analogy maybe, but it's just a fucking habit. The dissatisfied mind is the mind that's compensating for the desire to try and get back into reality in a way that we feel is comfortable. So, for example, we're just mammals, really. We're just basic fucking mammals and we just want to feel comfortable. We want to make sense of the world and we want things to be okay. It's a basic mammal function. We have a difficult time because we have all these higher fucking faculties of creativity and culture and transformation and exploration and stuff that kind of means that we're like unstable mammals. It's like if like big part of us, a huge part of us just wants to hang out with other mammals, wants to cuddle, wants to lay around, wants to eat food, wants to fuck, wants to sleep a lot, wants to do mammal shit, hang out in packs together and do pack mammal stuff, like have little family interactions, maybe a little bit of grumpiness, a little bit of niceness, a little bit of this, a little bit of hierarchy, fucking climbing and descending and stuff that's going on. And we want to do that. But at the same time, a big part of us is like outside of that. It's like we're looking back on ourselves saying like, but we're not just that. We can be better than that. We can evolve beyond that. Or we have evolved beyond that. And we're not just victims of nature. We're creators of nature. We can manipulate nature. And we've proved it. We've done it. We've got like so much fucking vast levels of amazing fucking breakthrough technology that it's fucking oozing out of us. And our consciousness is struggling to catch up with our power. It's like we could do so much with what we have, yet we're not intelligent. Yet our intelligence doesn't match our level of technological capacity. Even though it could, because there's plenty of people that know how to do that. We just don't fucking allow it to happen. So anyway, it's a trippy fucking thing when we get caught in the dissatisfied mind. We get caught in the desire to try and fix ourselves. We get caught in the desire to try and to be okay. And I think what's trippy about it and what's hard about it is we've been carrying that since we've been fucking kids because we don't know anything else. And also we've been carrying that because our fucking parents carried that. And our parents carried that, and our parents, all the way fucking back. Unless you're lucky enough to be born with a fucking Buddha for a parent. And then if you are, then awesome. Then you've just got a golden ticket. But that's pretty fucking rare on the scale of human experience. So if you're trying to cope with the fact that you've crash landed into this dimension and you've been given a false set of maps and rules that make you feel dissatisfied, and everybody around you is fucking dissatisfied, and everybody's telling you to do all these things to feel satisfied that really don't help, they just make you sick, or they don't really get you where you need to be, then you've got to try and work out, well, what's fucking real and how do I make sense of this shit? And it is a disturbing reality when you start to fucking experience, I can't fucking trust my parents. I can't trust the government. I can't trust education. I can't trust what the world tells me. I can't trust anybody directly from what they tell me. I need to analyze it through my own nervous system. I need to test it. I need to get feedback. And then I need to see what the results are on my own levels. And I need to see, by watching what other people are doing, what really works. Because once again, especially in the worlds of ideology, people say something is something, but the reality is it's not. Communism's great, it's amazing. And then you look at reality, it's just fucking people starving and fucking dying in the streets. Capitalism's beautiful, we all need to be capitalists, when it's like just bombing fucking third world kids. It's like, dude, there's something fucking wrong with what you're saying and what is fucking happening. So you either got to bridge this reality and make some fucking adjustments to the narrative so it actually matches what you're saying, or you need to scrap that fucking shit because it's not fucking true. You're just living in a fucking delusion trying to tell yourself a fantasy because it feels fucking good. Meanwhile, these poor fuckers over here pay the price for your fucking fantasy.
Well, it's because of what you said. We're trying to come up with some explanation to make things rational and logical. We're to make ourselves feel comfortable, like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even when there is none, even when we can't be comfortable because there's too much shit going on, and it isn't that easy, and it's because reality is always changing, there may not even be an explanation that will make us feel comfortable, except maybe the one we've been talking about, which is, there is no reality. It's changing all the time. It's completely subjective. And maybe very, very few things are true, which is we have consciousness, we exist, we think, we postulate we need to shit fucking eat, otherwise we die unless we do hardcore training. Very few things. And everything else is malleable.
Yeah. But then I think...
So if reality is manual, how can you come up with a rule about anything, any belief system? Right.
But then it becomes interesting too, because then that's where the training needs to begin. And I think that is one of the realities that we need to fall into. But yet again, like I just said, be very careful. It's one of the principles that I learnt from Chaos Magic, which was fucking gold, is just beware of dogma. Beware of your own dogma. Don't fall into dogma. So to even say that reality is a subjective thing that does X, Y, Z, that's another dogma. It's like, recognize that if you say that, you're setting up a container of preconditioned rules that are going to start to have an effect. And if that means a certain result or sets you up to have a certain set of experiences, then by all means engage and invest in that, but do it with awareness. Because it's exactly the same as making a business decision. It's kind of like there's many businesses you could invest in. And in many ways you could say business is just business. It doesn't matter. It's all just fucking money. You just put money into something and it either works or it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, true, but there's a whole variety of different ethics involved. I mean, do you want to invest in human trafficking? Do you want to invest in ethical fucking power? Do you want to invest in organic food? Do you want to invest in Beanie Babies? I don't know. There's so many fucking things that you can invest in that are within that spectrum of business. And it's the same trippy thing with human experience, because on a subjective level, on the very, very core level, it's it's all subjective. It doesn't really matter. It's all variable, blah, blah, blah. But you got to be careful because you get lost in postmodern deconstructionism. You get lost in everything's meaningless. Nothing means anything. So whatever, who gives a fuck? And then it's nihilism. It's very dangerous. It's part of why our culture's collapsing, is because everyone's yeah, whatever, bro. If I could just do what I feel like, fucking whatever. It's yeah, that has no principles of integrity or ethics underneath it, and the morality is immature. So what you say is true, but then the flip side of it is that there are principles of integrity that are waiting to be discovered. There is a kind of underlying truth to reality that is non-linear, non-logical, and directly experienced through being. So this is where the fucking training begins, in my opinion. Is because if you're just swimming around, and I've been there, if you're just swimming around in a feedback loop of it's all subjective, man, whatever, and we could just need to make it up as we go along or anything like that, it's very fucking dangerous. The next evolution out of that, if you really want to make sense of that, because that's going to get tiring and destructive over time, is to recognize this, what we could call, it's a fucking disease. It's a psychosis of humanity. This dissatisfaction that we have with ourself, and it's not even with ourselves. It's a dissatisfaction with not knowing ourselves. That's the problem. It's like, I don't know who I am, therefore I feel like something's wrong. And most people don't even know that they don't even know who they are. They just know that something's wrong. And they know that eating sugar makes them feel good, or watching fucking porn makes them feel good, or chasing fucking chicks, or money, or fucking power, or playing the games that have been given to them supposedly gives them like a context to operate in. So they're kind of like, oh, okay, well, all I know is if I don't have a fucking meaning in my life, I feel fucking terrible. But at least if I chase my career, or if I chase a fucking hot chick, or if I chase this fucking having 6-pack abs and fucking perfect fucking tattoos or whatever, is some trip that, okay, I can satisfy myself within the hierarchy of that story. But as we know, and it's like if you have enough life experience, and it usually happens to most people in their 30s and 40s, it starts to scratch their heads and go like, I kind of did the career thing and it didn't really do it for me. I had the relationships and I don't know, it doesn't work. Or I got the fucking abs and I still feel shit. Or whatever. It's like this, the false promises start to feel dissatisfying. And then it's like, what do? Do you just put down that game and then pick up another fucking game? Or do you start to really think and go like, hang on, maybe there's something wrong with the formula I'm operating from. Maybe there's something wrong with the container that I'm engaging life with. The container is fucking wrong. What society tells me I should be doing, the container of seeking fulfillment through fucking fulfillment of dissatisfaction with satisfying means, is not really going to fulfill me on a core level. Now, this opens up some very interesting stuff. So, if we are basically fucking kids trying to work out how to become adults. We're immature beings trying to become mature. And the process of maturity, I believe, is an initiation. It's awakening. It's breaking through these cultural fucking binds and stories and stuff. Now, how do we do that? We have to learn how to fucking pay attention, and we have to learn, how to sit still, or at least how to pay attention and look at what's going on. And once we realize, oh fuck, this is just a cultural narrative. This is a family story. This is my own personal shit of dissatisfaction that I've been carrying for a long time. And I actually don't have to feed it anymore. I don't have to give it life anymore. I don't have to make it myself anymore. I don't have to give my life force and identity into it anymore. And instead, I can just start to detach from it. And that's actually going to be a kind of a weird and a painful and a disturbing experience at the start. Because it's like I've been a fucking junkie feeding myself like all this shit. And then all of a sudden I just put it down. And I have to go through this kind of fasting / detox period of like releasing all this stuff. And the temptation is to go back and engage with it. The temptation is to pick it up again, especially when you're surrounded by other people who are going like, what's wrong with you, fucking bro? Like, fucking just have another thing, whatever it is, come and fucking fuck some bitches with me. Come and make some money. Come and fucking whatever. You're just tripping out. You're becoming a useless individual within the context of the culture because you don't play the game in a way that makes everybody feel comfortable, even though, if you start to become aware, you're like, hang on, most of the games that people are playing are actually just fucking diseased ways of being. So as you start to put that stuff down, and what that means is, and this is the formula, find satisfaction in reality that derives itself from the direct principles of integrity of reality itself. So what I mean by that is, and it's weird, but it's so obvious in some ways. And it's constantly accessible in every fucking way. Like right here now, I'm sitting in this chair. The chair has integrity. The chair has structure. The chair has stability. The chair has physicality. And there's a kind of, if I allow it to start to open up to me, there's a kind of satisfaction that can come from me just feeling the fact that I'm sitting in the chair. It's like holy shit. Like I could be a million different places doing a million different things. But if I just come back to it's the most blindingly simple thing that we don't even pay attention to, is like, this chair is holding me up. And if I allow my awareness to be with the chair, and I trust in the chair's ability to hold me up, I start to share in a relationship of trust. I start to share in a relationship of something very simple and very dependable in my life that is very satisfying to a part of me to just be here. And it's the same, we can use the breath. It's the exact same principle. The breath. As I just focus on something that's constantly happening, the breaths, how many breaths have I had in my life that I haven't been conscious of? Fuck, mind-blowing. But I've started to be conscious of the breath, very simple thing, then all of a sudden, I can start to trust in the integrity and the reality that my breath is somewhat breathing me. It's like it's just happening. And I can start to learn from it. It can be my teacher, rather than me being this kind of obsessively distracted, mentally ill fucking monkey that's trying to be like everywhere else, or trying to prove everything, or trying to fucking grab something and like feed himself with something, or fuck something, or whatever it is. There's like so many fucking trippy things we try to do, and I put my hand up for all that stuff. I do all that shit. But I also know that when we come back and we start to get really grounded, then there's like this falling away, like more and more falling away. And you can use the breath. You can use the physical sensation of the things around you. I mean, one of the ones that my friend teaches, and he's a brilliant practitioner, a very high-level practitioner, very humble, like, I would call him a mud Buddha, He just he lives on nothing and fucking hangs out and just is very humble. He does what he does, but very high level. And in one of his practices that he used on a consistent basis is to be open to reality with curiosity, and to just question, like, what in my sensory experience now, what in my sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, or cognitive capacity, emotional capacity, basically anything, what in my direct experience now is drawing my focus. And then he would just allow himself to sink into more direct experience of what he was focused on in the moment. So for example, right now, it's kind of weird. If I just go like, and I just relax and open, the first thing I'm intuitively aware of is actually the space in the room, which is kind of weird because I don't normally put a lot of attention into the space. But as I relax and open my focus, the space becomes bubbling. And as I allow the space to become like open and bubbling, like, it's, when I say that, it's a metaphor, but I mean, as I allow the space to become more aware, I'm aware of the space, then the next thing I'm drawn to is like the colors of the bed, for example, are a little bit richer now. They're a little bit more vivid. They're drawing my attention to them. And then all of a sudden I'm starting to feel the structure of my body with more awareness. And then I feel your presence more directly. It's like it's like my consciousness is becoming more fluid, more engaged, and more able to be in reality as it is. And then I start to get excited about being here. I'm like, I don't need to fucking worry about aliens or Mandela effect or making money or fucking anything. I can just be here right now. And I might pop out and do something again. That's fine. I can go out and do something. I can right now. I'm thinking, I'll probably need to eat something. So then, boom, a little part of my mind goes out and thinks food, what the food's going to be, how that's going to taste, measuring like what kind of thing do I feel like right now, etc. The little aspect that just flew out. And then, but at the same time, I can come back and I can be here. Now, it's my experience, and I've looked at this from a lot of different angles and a lot of different traditions, a lot of different fucking things over and over and over and over again, and it keeps coming back to me that when we hang out in the moment and we start to develop more of the relationship of direct perception, we start to relax, we start to trust, we start to open to it, what happens is we start to have this kind of like disengagement from that parasitic mind, from that dissatisfied mind, and it becomes increasingly more fragmented and broken up and more distant from our experience. And then what will happen is, instead of just being like in this wound up like neurotic, like it'll start to, first it will start to slow down a little bit, and then it will start to like detach, and then it will like kind of orbit around you. Like, you'll see it and feel it coming in sometimes. You're like, there's my neurotic mind activated. And sometimes you'll get lost in it, and you'll catch yourself like, hang on, fuck, I'm not in the moment. And I'll drop back in, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. And then over time, maybe it takes fucking weeks, maybe it takes months, maybe it takes years, especially for some of these layers within that dissatisfied mind, calm and the release. And then there's a kind of, it's like a purification. It just goes away. That voice doesn't exist anymore. There is no dissatisfaction. There's no uncomfortable sensation that things aren't good enough as they are and we need to fix them anymore. There's just an increasingly comfortable sense that reality is what it is, and this is what it is, and it's only ever going to be this. And therefore, it's good enough. This is all good enough. And because it's good enough, this is the important point here, you're good enough. And because you're good enough, then you've got something of value to give to the world. And part of what you're giving to the world is the value to remind everybody, hey, everybody, you're all fucking good enough. Everybody, we're all fucking good enough. Can we celebrate just being fucking good enough already? Because the tendency is to believe that there's something wrong with us because the fucking dominance hierarchy of our ideas that try to tell us that we need to be more satisfied by running around doing all this other fucking shit. I've been telling us since we've been fucking this big, there's something wrong with you, you're not good enough, you've got to prove your place in the world. You've got to do something to be good enough. You got to sit still and pay attention. You've got to prove yourself to be a good student. You've got to go out and fucking get the thing you're supposed to get. Otherwise, you're not going to be as cool as those guys, or fucking, or you'll be like a loser like those guys. This kind of fucking polarity shit. Now, it's one of the paradoxes that we need to deal with, and it's something that I find quite complex in some ways, but it's definitely part of where we're operating from, is that the truth is that we're both of those things. Unfortunately and fortunately, we live in a dominant hierarchy of fucking stuff, and we're part of a culture and a society and there's things, and there's a million and one fucking things to engage with. The dangerous thing is if we lose our fucking ground, if we don't have feet to stand on, if we don't have a map to operate from. If you can get back into that satisfaction, if you can drop into the satisfied mind and you can be in the being of your own bubbling being, like nourishing you constantly, then you can go out into the dominance hierarchy with more power. It's like you build yourself a temple or a home and you're like an astronaut that goes out with a tether and does some fucking mission and then comes back, rather than just being fucking lost in space, fucking under the threat of the chaos.
It's like when you realize there's nothing to do. When you realize there's nothing you have to do, because just being here is enough. Only then are you really ready to go out and do anything.
So, because what is it?
Because if you're coming from the place of, well, I'm satisfied, I'm happy because I'm God and I'm here, and there is nothing that has to happen because I've already won this, And I've felt that every time I've had any of those spiritual experiences of godliness. It's just like, I am it. There is nothing to become. I am it.
Well, I'm interested to know what does it feel like in your nervous system now to know that this is it. You are it. Like to welcome that in.
Calming.
Yeah. And that's the little doorway. Even if it's only like a little microscopic doorway that you've just opened up, that's still a fucking doorway.
It's like relief, because there's so much pressure, dude. I feel it all the time. So much pressure, and then I put on myself, and it's weird. It's so dualistic, because on one level, when I tap into it, there is absolutely nothing to do, because I've done it. I've done all the work, and I am who I am, and just being here, I'm already affecting the frequency in this whole fucking dimension in a unique way, and that's beautiful. But because I know I've been doing this for so long, and I have done a lot of work in past lifetimes, I also recognize in my own godliness, I recognize my potential to create even much bigger positive change in this reality. And therefore the human aspect and the training comes back and says, oh, well, you should do that then. Otherwise you're not becoming your full potential. You're wasting this life, bro. You should be doing all this stuff. But actually, and again, both are true. If I truly enter that reality of just, I'm going to go sit in a hill and meditate and just be absolute joy and love, and that will raise everyone's frequency, and that's my contribution, that's just as valid as me starting a YouTube channel, getting 50 million subscribers, and helping people out. There is no right answer. Right is what I choose.
Why does it even need to be extremes like that? Like, why can't you, for example, feel into that calmingness that you just gave yourself permission to touch, even just for a little while, and build that hill that you're meditating on inside yourself right now? So then when you go and you sit down and you make a YouTube fucking presentation, you are the guy sitting on the hill in the world making the YouTube presentation. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's the trip, because I think it's a frame game. It's like what's the overarching frame? Are you a dissatisfied monkey that is like that is the overarching container that you're operating from? I'm a dissatisfied monkey, and I'm trying to like work on my satisfaction, and I'm trying to grow my satisfaction. I'm trying to give satisfaction out to people as if it's like a resource. Or is it the opposite? Is everything already fucking satisfactory? Everything's already fucking okay, and the thing that you're tinkering with is just a little bit of dissatisfaction as you're already embraced with the wholeness of everything. It's like, what are you going to give priority to? What are you going to give power to more than the other thing? And the thing that I find, and this is definitely, maybe you could say it's like a wave particle fucking dichotomy or some fucking duality process or something. It's like, if you suppose and you define reality as a perfect whole, then it tends to open you up to the possibility of many synchronicities that come in with that wholeness to just happen in your life. If you presuppose that, life is somewhat of a dissatisfied mission of kind of hopelessness trying to find hope, then you've kind of fucking lost the game, you know what I mean? Or at least you're going to be having a struggle as you push that fucking rock up that hill and yet again slip and it rolls down the hill again. You got to run back down and fucking do it all over again. It's like, that's part of this fucking distortion that we get caught in. And then what I think is the mastery is the best of both worlds. It's not rejecting anything. It's not this or that. You got to fuck off the this or that thinking, because this or that thinking is what keeps you stuck in the binary game. It's not a binary game. It's a fucking labyrinth of all kinds of A's and B's and A and B and neither A nor B all at once. So when you're a magician, I believe that you're able to change the content of the experience. Like magic in one sense, like the art of magic in my opinion, is the manipulation of the content in the frame, in the container of your experience. Now, the manipulation of the content doesn't necessarily mean that you become more evolved. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're becoming more, what could I say? It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that you change the container of your existence. But having said that, having a different container can be very beneficial. So you got to look at it from, yet again, a paradox of like, on one level, especially from an ultimate level of being, right? From a yogic perspective, it's like, who gives a shit about all this fucking stuff? Who gives a fuck? It's all Maya. We're just dancing in the Maya. Wake up, like transcend, like just liberate yourself. Become the consciousness that is so deeply rooted in the principles of integrity within reality that you are not engaged with the disease of being fucking stuck in physical reality anymore. You know, you've somehow like transcended yourself from that. Now that's, yet again, an extreme transcendentalist position. A true one, but it's an extreme position. The other side of it is, no, let's get involved with fixing and playing and having a more direct experience. Like the part of the temptation of being a magician is let's get lost in the desire realm. Let's feed ourselves into the senses and really become, you know, let's fuck bitches, let's make money, let's fucking, you know, or even on another level, it's like let's develop magic powers. Let's connect with the highest realms of like spirit so that we can become the most elite, like fucking amazing people we can. All of that is still subjective fucking manipulation of the material existence to try and get some kind of satisfaction. Now, the balance is be a fucking mystic that knows he's fucking cool and learn how to fucking paint your house a different fucking color when you feel like it. Like, learn how to change the container. And it's a hugely powerful tool to have magical skills, just as much as a hugely powerful tool to know how to ground yourself in your being. And especially for people, because some people, and you know this from students, some people are already fucking master magicians, but they are so fucking lost in their being. Like they have like amazing material capacities and high levels of resourcefulness and skill, and they've mastered many different things. Yet at the same time, they're deeply fundamentally unhinged and disconnected from their sense of being, their sense of self. Other people are really fucking deeply rooted in their being, and they're fucking amazingly connected to like source, but they can't fucking pay their bills. I mean, they have so much difficulty doing that shit. So it's like how, and that's something I've been teetering on for many years, I mean, a decade. It's like, how do I balance this fucking paradox? And of course, when I go to the mystics, when I go to the being guys, I'm like, well, guys, I'm having this problem because, you know, I really fucking think I need to get engaged in the world and understand stuff. Of course, they tell me, don't worry about it, bro. Just fucking let go and be in the being. And then, of course, I go to the magicians over here that are doing this stuff. I'm like, dudes, I've got this kind of problem because I don't feel really comfortable in just seeking stuff all the time. Like, don't worry about it, bro. Just seek more stuff. So whichever camp you go to, you're going to hear the thing that the people in that camp are going to fucking tell you. And that's part of why I think becoming a really critical thinker and becoming an individual and becoming somebody who's like, well, I can take the knowledge and the wisdom of the mystics, and I can take the knowledge and the wisdom of the magicians, and I can fucking blend them. I can do alchemy inside myself, and I can be something unique and individual, and I can choose what that is in the moment as well. And I don't know about you, but I know when I feel the blend of those kinds of alchemies and these kinds of dualities blending with harmony and balance inside myself, I'm way more balanced and way more powerful and way more resilient and way more relaxed and way more creative and fucking everything. It's like everything just fucking is so much easier because I can simultaneously let go and do nothing or get busy and do everything. And it doesn't really matter what I'm doing in the moment because it's like, as long as I'm holding my harmony, and this is where I think, you know, the final piece of the puzzle comes in, is that when you're holding the balance, then the teachings of harmony arise through you. You become the school. You are the fucking school getting taught directly by your experience. The master is you in disguise, teaching yourself through the balance of mind as you're blending these dualities constantly through yourself. And in that sense, there's only one thing to do. It's not about learning 50,000 things. It's one thing to do. Keep balanced mind. Keep balanced mind. Come back into the nourishment of what's satisfying that keeps balance. Always come back to balance, balance, balance. Or you lose it, cool, come back to balance. Or you lost it again, cool, come back to balance. That's how you train yourself to be balanced, by losing balance. So as you lose it, you gain it. You lose it, you gain it. You forget, you remember. You forget, you remember. And then losing, gaining, forgetting, remembering, then you become this kind of thing that's like, oh, I'm doing all of that. That becomes an automatic process. And then we relax a lot more, and there's a ton of fucking side effects. So many side effects happen from that. It's like, that's where all the mystical, trippy, fucking interesting stuff happens. But then we tend to get caught in the side effects as if like, It's like, oh, I cracked the code of the universe, and then I got given a reward or whatever. Reward's not a good idea, but then I got this amazing fucking gift of magic showed up. And what a lot of people do is then they become obsessed with the thing as if that's the thing. And it's like, no, fucking don't get lost in that fucking trip, because that's a side trip, you know? Magical things will happen when you do the right stuff. When you are responsible and you're powerful and you take care of yourself and you start taking care of others, then all kinds of fucking things are going to come into your path that lead you in the right way. All kinds of resources and capacities and skills will be revealed to you. But don't get lost in the thought or the feeling that that's what's important, because that will take you off the path yet again, and then you got to fucking work to get back onto the path. So there's only one path, there's only one thing to do. And therefore, the whole game dynamic is actually really fucking basic. It's just the discipline to just stay with the balance, and to just constantly like not get fucking this or that. Or if you do get this or that, recognize you're getting this or that, and then harmonize it again. Yeah.
Well, this is why just recently, in fact, I've really been discovering the power of having some kind of discipline. Some kind of discipline. I've got a couple going now, and they're awesome. One is cold shower in the morning. Every morning. Fucking cold water. It's tough, but it's a discipline, and it wakes me up and it gets my day started. Doing my exercise regimen in the morning. No matter what. Every day. It's a discipline. And it grounds me, because I know no matter what happens in this reality, no matter what weird shifts or knowledge or any fucked up shit that happens, guess what? I'm still going to do... You're
going to do push-ups.
I'm going to do my little work. I'm going to have my cold shower. I'm going to eat my chia breakfast, and I'm going to enjoy that, and it's going to make me feel great. And from that place, everything after that is okay.
It gives you a ground, right?
Yeah. And especially if you sneak in a little bit of meditation in there, dude, and a little bit of yoga.
What if meditation? What if this is your meditation?
That it is. It is essentially. But I want to add in, meditation, stillness, which still, for me, is...
But notice, I just want to... maybe I'm wrong, but I want to call you out on something. Is that notice how the tendency to jump into something that is still not it is happening. So what I mean by that is you definitely, and I'm the same. It's like I think sometimes we circle around our power when we do discipline, and I think that's good, because at least we're orbiting around it. But there's something even more powerful, is when you know without a doubt that you are that which is creating the discipline. You know what I mean? Because the discipline is pointing you towards that. I think that's why we get nourishment from discipline, is because when we do discipline, especially directly, over time, we kind of come into contact with our power of like, holy shit, I'm the one that's doing this, and I know I'm doing it because I'm seeing myself doing it, feeling myself doing it, and as I'm doing it, it's getting done, and as it's getting done, I'm seeing and feeling results, and therefore I am the center of my consciousness that is creating this fucking process, even if it's the simple thing of just doing 20 minutes of exercise in the morning, and that can be a game changer for sure. But it's like, what's the what if your discipline was to bring yourself into the satisfaction of reality as it is, and then everything, if you only had one fucking discipline and that was it, and then everything else is a side effect of that, because
pretty badass.
that changes everything, because then you're kind of like, cool, like if all I need to do is one fucking thing, and that's just be satisfied now, and then ask myself the question, as I am practicing being satisfied now, what do I wish to do? It's like, I wish to work out as being satisfied. Why? Because I love being disciplined, and I love the way it makes me feel.
Not because if you work out, you will become satisfied then. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's
the game changer.
That's some epic shit right there.
That's the game changer.
That was the point of this whole rant right there. It took a while to get there, guys, but we got there in the end, and that's what matters.
Well, but that's the thing. This stuff is so subtle, but at the same time, it's not. And when you get it, but like, okay, we've laid it out as a blueprint. Now you fucking practice it, and that's the thing. That's where the lifetime of practice happens, you know. Yeah, welcome to the game. Yeah.
What an epic, Jesus Christ, how long is that? An hour and 16 minutes. That's just the bit we recorded. There was another 45 minutes before that.
I think we captured most of that 45 in a different film.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That was a beauty, mate. Yeah, fucking
so
beauty.
Don't forget that. Don't go off into La La Land. Let's practice it.
Yep.
Let's practice it. Yeah.
Well,
so as a satisfied being right now, what makes you feel satisfied?
Well, As a satisfied being right now, I'm going to go and enjoy eating some food.
Uh-huh.
Going to do a couple of stretches, as I really feel like it. And then I'm going to go and do this show recording that I'm
Awesome.
super excited
And
about.
I'm going to check in with you later and see how satisfying it was to be a satisfied being doing those things that were making you even more satisfied.
Yeah, and I'm literally going to walk out of the room now with that just attitude, just like, I'm already happy because I exist. So everything I'm doing is just a bonus.
And I think the interesting thing for
Like,
you...
not only am I happy being alive, I get to eat this fucking amazing food
right.
and do these stretches which feel amazing in the body, and I get to do this interview and interact with another enlightened person and then help other people by listening to that information. That's fucking extra epic.
Absolutely.
Even though I would have been cool sitting in a room and breathing and listening to music, that would have been epic too.
Yeah.
But wow, this other shit is really cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I guess what I'm interested in particularly, like, I guess
And hang on, and I also want to point out, again, it goes in with another lesson I learned where I was getting exhausted traveling around the world all the time, always flying around, very stressful because I couldn't get grounded. And I thought, and part of me was thinking, the excitement, the lesson, I'll be happy when I get to this country. Oh, that's going to be awesome. And then I'm going to go to this country and do this thing. That's going to be awesome. And as awesome as those things were, many times I just got to a point where I was like, hang on a minute. I'm getting burnt out doing this, and I don't need to go anywhere to do anything. All the work, everything I need to do and can do, it's all within me. Everything is within me. I could sit in a fucking whatever in any apartment in the world and do the work that I need to do and do the change I need to do. I don't have to go anywhere or see anybody. Those things are all bonuses. But I was just traveling almost out of the thing like, I have to do these things and it's going to be awesome. Then I'll have fun. And I wasn't even having fun anymore. I was just seeking... Just thought travel was more exciting than not traveling. Therefore, I'm having such an awesome life because look at me, I can travel, go fly to other countries and stuff. But in fact, that's not what I needed. I needed to sit in a room and not travel. And just being here for the last, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 weeks of not traveling and sitting around has actually been the most beneficial in the last year of traveling. Because I'm just I'm grounded. I'm doing my routines. I'm just a different person now than I was fucking 6 weeks ago. You know why? Because I'm not chasing. I'm just being more rather than chasing or moving.
Slowed down, right?
Yeah.
Slowed down, yeah.
Yeah. So just a thought for people who think you want to go travel, or you want to go do. There's something you need to do to be happy. No, you don't. You need to be happy first now, and then see if you really feel the need to do anything.
And I think that the medicine. This is a little medicine practice for you, which is just a reiteration of what we said anyway. But practice noticing when dissatisfaction arises, and practice feeding satisfaction to your dissatisfaction directly. So it's like, there's the part of me that wants to, whatever, like wants to run around, do this, do that. Just sit with yourself for a moment and go like, see if you can catch the dissatisfaction popping up and pulling you in different directions. And instead of like going off on the thing, like, because once you know what your center is and you can really directly feel it, you'll know when you're moving out of it, and you'll know when to bring yourself back in again. And the way to bring yourself back in is like, hang on, am I really satisfied now, or am I fucking trying to do something to be satisfied? And then bring yourself back and feed the satisfaction to yourself too. Like, and because ideally you can feel the satisfaction now when you tune into it, right? And as you explore that more and more, what is this satisfaction? How can I become more curious and open to what satisfies me, to what feeds me, to what makes me feel nourished? As you can explore what that satisfaction is, and you stay with that more and more and more, practice operating from that place and giving that to yourself constantly. And I think that then you'll particularly notice when you are tripping into side fucking journeys, different things. And I think I can say it just quickly. I mean, it's really important, I think, especially for you in the desire to try and like jump around and do different things, to just come back to the simple practice of feeding satisfaction to yourself. Like, if you just did that one fucking discipline, man, and I'd be interested to see how you go after a day or a few days. I think that would be a game changer. And I've got more practices. I've got very powerful practices that are directly about like pointing you towards satisfaction and how to release how to do practices that open you up on a more deeply internal fundamental level, where satisfaction is unavoidably you, until it just flows through you so fundamentally that there is nothing but an ocean of fucking satisfying being that is you and everyone and everything. And then imagine, and this is the ultimate aim, is that you interact with people from such a core place of satisfaction inside yourself. Other people can't help but be touched and become satisfied by being in your presence. And that's what masters do. That's why people come to masters and they just break out fucking crying and have this big trip and their whole reality collapses and their ego fucking turns inside out and shit. It's because the fucking master's just sitting there going like, this is it, bro. Fucking, this is it. And guess what? You're fucking it because I know you're it, because I know I'm it, because we're all it. And fucking, there's no question. I don't even need to say fucking words. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. What a great thing to talk about in our next episode. Woo!
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well done, man. Thank you.
Man, that was a really, really, really fun podcast and fascinating to listen to it months after it was recorded. A lot's happened since then. So I'm super stoked to see Shae's speech at the Infinite Man Summit 2017 in Bulgaria. I hope you're joining us. And do us a favor. Go on iTunes and rate the show, please. Because, hey, we deserve it. And I want to spread the message to more people who are ready to get woke as fuck. Thanks for tuning in and see you in the next one. Ciao.